I first met Angie, I don't know, 100 million years ago at a gala fundraiser that I was producing, and we remained friends ever since, and I thank you mahalo for your friendship. So welcome everybody, mabuhay and aloha. I first wanted to start this by thanking some people. First of all, my partners in crime, Bella, Carol, in the back. To me, over here. Our friends here at the Cerritos Library, Valerie Apisala, who is moving some chairs, and Carrie Parada. But most importantly, I'd like to thank the Honorable Mark Toledo, Mayor of Cerritos. And Gloria. Mark, Gloria, why don't you come on up? This is your perfect introduction to your special present.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Mayor. Or shall I say aloha? Aloha. All right. Well, on behalf of my wife Gloria and our kids Malia and Mark Jr. And the city of Cerritos, we're so delighted to welcome you all to our hometown here, the city of Cerritos, and especially to one of the crown jewels in our city, the Cerritos Library. For this very, very special event to welcome and to help launch the book of Miss America, Angela Perez Baraquio Gray. Let's give a round of applause. Now, I have to say, full disclosure, when Ted called, we jumped. Because Ted, Gloria, and I go way back to our days at UCLA when we were very involved on campus and involved in the community in Los Angeles. And so it was a no-brainer for when Ted reached out to us and said, hey, you know, we have this opportunity to share this wonderful sister, Angela, and her book for the first time to the community and to the public. And she wanted to do it right here in Cerritos. And so we're very touched that she wanted to do that. Ted thought of us in this wonderful venue to showcase this event. So to commemorate that, I, along with my colleagues from the City Council, have prepared a city proclamation that my wife and I would like to present to Angela. And we also have some late greetings for you as well as your husband, but I think Tini is on his way.
He's on his way from the gate.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll go ahead and proceed, and we'll give him his lay a little later. But Angela, on behalf of the Cerritos City Council, our wonderful city staff, especially those who work so hard in this wonderful library, and the nearly 50,000 residents of our community. We are a multicultural community, and you making history back in 2001 and now coming here today, you really affirm our multicultural American community. And we are excited to present this proclamation to you for all of your fine achievements and all your work to inspire young people throughout America to aspire to their dreams. We present this to you. We thank you and wish you the very best in the coming years. God bless you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Pulido, and I'm the wife of Mark Pulido. I wanted to echo Mark and thank each and every one of you for joining us here today for this special event to join in the book launch of Angela. We and Angela have some things in common. Both of our parents hail from the province of Pangasinan. And also, from 1994 to 1998, I am also an alum of the University of Hawaii. I earned my master's degree in sociology there. So also on behalf of our family, on behalf of the Filipino American community, and behalf of the city of Cerritos, wanted to thank you, honoring us with your presence here today for your book launch. And also, you know, as part of the Hawaiian tradition, we want to present you with this ring. So beautiful. And then next, our kid, will present a lake to Angela also.
This is for Tina. She'll come back.
This is from my husband. That was so sweet. Thank you so much.
Part of my mission is to promote the works of Filipino and Asian American talent. So I was waiting for this day, for this great opportunity to help launch Angie's book. So I'm so thankful that you can make time to come in and be here with us today. I wanted to introduce to you, before we get to Angie, one of your sorority sisters in this Miss America Club. She was crowned Miss America in 1992. She's also a former Miss Hawaii in 1991. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carolyn Sapp.
But Angie stole my thunder 10 years after I had won Miss Hawaii and then Miss America. And it was really disheartening because I was riding a roller coaster wave, surfing it in, being the only Miss Hawaii to be Miss America. And then along came my beautiful sister, Angela Baraquio. And I couldn't be more proud. Granted, it took us a little bit to connect and click, but my kids and her kids, now we all get together and we hang out. Actually, we really do. And I think that that is a lot of what it says about our sisterhood that we have as not just Miss Hawaii's, but as Miss America. A lot of people don't seem to realize sometimes that it really truly is a scholarship pageant. I was just a simple girl from Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii, and I was working in a furniture store, and I was dancing hula on a boat, and I was going to night school. And it was really slow, and it was really hard, and I thought, there's a pageant called Miss Kona Coffee on the Big Island in Kona. It was $800 scholarship money if you won that pageant to go to any school, accredited school of your choice. And this would have been back in the, let's just say in the 80s. And I thought, wow, I can win just by entering a pageant? I guess there is something to this, and I decided to do it. And a lot of people looked at me and said, well, you're not Japanese, you're not Filipino, you're not Hawaiian, why are you entering? Well, I was raised in the islands my entire life. My father was a Lutheran minister and moved from Oahu to the Big Island to start a ministry church, like a missionary church. And so I was a PK, and I thought, why can't I do this? So I entered. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I went to Miss Hawaii America on the island of Oahu, and I was 4th runner-up. And a lot of people were like, oh, that's horrible. For me, it was absolutely breathtaking, amazing. I won over $9,000 in scholarship by being 4th runner-up. That started my educational journey and allowed me as a non-traditional student, because I was 21 years old. Not a lot of scholarships out there for a 21-year-old. I've already peaked, I've missed the mark. I wasn't 17, 18 going into college. And so I thought, wow, it allowed me to quit my job and move to Oahu and attend Hawaii Pacific University. And it was quite amazing. The other thing a lot of people don't realize is that my stepmother is Filipino. Wow. And I was very blessed that my mother is Carmen Justo Almeida Sapp. And I, because I was part of this Filipino family since I was age 4, when I moved to the island of Oahu from the Big Island, you don't move into the dorm or you get your own apartment and live with girlfriends. No, you have to live with your family. Particularly, I had to live with my grandparents, my Filipino grandparents. And thank God I won Miss Hawaii Miss America, because my grandfather once said, you don't move out until you're married. I was like, okay. So I can make pancit, I can make lumpia. So I grew up with this culture that was quite amazing, and I think that that actually helped me when I won Miss Hawaii to go to Miss America, because for them it was like I could share what Hawaii really truly was, and it's a melting pot, and that's what we all are here today for, is this melting pot of who we are in America. And I think Hawaii is so unique and special because we have the language of all these different cultural people coming together to celebrate. We have the food, we have the music, and I think that when you can taste and touch and feel these senses, it brings you alive and you can share that aloha. And moving on to Angela. Angela, did you do 3 or 4 times before you won? We have another thing in common. I went back to Miss Hawaii another year. So I was like Miss Waikiki one year. I was first runner-up. I was like, oh. And I have to say, okay, that's fine. Went back the next year. I was Miss Honolulu. And I was first runner-up again. And I had people say, you're never going to win Miss Hawaii because you don't represent what Hawaii needs. You're not cultural, you're not ethnic, you don't have the skin color. Your eyes are blue. I dyed my hair darker, trying to change kind of who I was as that person. And by the 3rd year, I kind of was done. And I thought, okay, I only have 1 more year before I graduate, debt-free, thanks to the Miss America program in Miss Hawaii, from Hawaii Pacific University. I'm going to only enter 1 more time. This will be my 4th time entering Miss Hawaii. I think people are done seeing me compete. And I said, you know, I will graduate debt-free if I win. If I don't win, it doesn't matter. I know I'm still going to receive scholarship money, which is what the Miss America program is all about. So I went in with a better attitude, deciding to be me and celebrate who I am and what I bring to the table. And that is what makes it happen. That's what makes you win. That's what allows you to open your heart and say, this is who we are as women, to celebrate each other. And I won. And then I went to Miss America, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy this ride. I'm going to enjoy this journey and see what happens. I've already done the prep work. I don't need to do anything else because I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever they're going to throw my way. I'm ready for whatever they want to ask me. I can only be me at this point. I can be, you know, maybe I'm not blood Filipino. Maybe I didn't have the ethnicity that people thought I should be to be Miss Hawaii. But I am me. I'm Carolyn Sapp. And I'm going to celebrate that, and I'm going to explore that and say, here's who I am, people. Like it, lump it, leave it, I don't care. And they loved it. And I was like, yes. And I won Miss America, and I was so proud. Angela is amazing, too, because she had similar journey, interestingly enough, as a teacher, challenging herself as a teacher to come in and say, wow, do I really need to do this? Is this a good example for my students? Is this a good example for me? But the end result was to empower herself with scholarship, to empower herself to say, I have a message that America needs to hear. Angela didn't win on her first try, nor her second try, but her 3rd try. There is something to be said about not giving up. A lot of people think that, you know, you move to Hollywood and you're going to be an instant success overnight, or just clap and it happens, or it's a magic bullet. It's not. It's hard work. It's perseverance. It's dedication. And it's so important to remember that in this day and age where we have things gifted to us and it's an easy ride. And maybe we're sometimes guilty, as I am as a parent, of saying, wow, let me do this for my children because I want to make it a little easier for them. No, don't. Have them fail. Have them learn what it is to not succeed all the time, because that's going to build character. It's going to build an example of what it means to fight and drive for something that you really want. And if you really want it, then go for it. But know that hard work is what makes it happen. It's not easy street. It's not who you are, who you're connected to. It's what you have inside of you that empowers you and makes you absolutely stunning and beautiful. Not on the outside, but on the inside. And that will glow and personify who you should be. And that is what makes you unique and special. I wasn't sure about Angela because, again, she stole my thunder. And I had a lot of humility about that. And I said, wow, do I really need to like this chick? I mean, she kind of took over me. And I was like, kind of the titta came out of me. Do you know what a titta is? I like, a little bit of a titta came out of me. I was like, down Kona girl, me. Down Kona girl. This is an Oahu girl. She might even kick my collar someday. We finally met. Actually, we met briefly in 1996 when I came back to MC Miss Hawaii. And this tells you how much older I am than Angela is. I actually spoke when I was Miss America at Teeny, her husband's high school. Scary thought. Though we do have children the same age. But I have to say, when Angela and I sat down, I'm always for keeping it real. And one of the things that I love, love, love about Angela is that she keeps it real. She's going to be honest with you. She's going to say, these are my downfalls, these are my sorrows, these are my sadnesses. And Angela and I sat in the back of my yard one day for a real heart-to-heart meeting. And I said, I don't know. We don't really know each other. We know of each other, but we don't know each other. And we got to know each other that day. And ever since then, we know each other. And we're not just sisters in the Miss America sisterhood, but we're sisters also in Christ. And we're sisters of faith. And I think that's another really huge chicken skin moment for me, is that when we can put our faith in God, and we can say we believe in this and we're not ashamed of it, and we can be proud of who we are as women, as mothers, as educators, and we have this value in us, and this is our moral compass. And I think that that's another thing that empowers Angela and I together in our sisterhood, is that we do have that faith in something higher. And we've all had tragedy and sadness in our life. I know with Angela's book, talking about her brother, could have been cathartic, but I think it's also, you know, it's a downer. It's sad, but it's real. And I think that a lot of times we forget, and we kind of want to live in this illusion that things are perfect and cheery and rosy. But every single person sitting in here can have a story of sadness, of grief, of sorrow in their own personal life. I know myself, I've lost both of my parents before my first son was born. And that breaks my heart that I lost my parents 3 months apart from each other. They will never know and see my 3 children grow up. But I have faith that they're looking down and they're saying, you're doing an okay job, Carolyn. You know, there was sadness for me that my own personal story of domestic violence overtook who I was as Miss America. But I persevered through that also. And I think that you have to realize that every single person in here has a story of faith in you. You just have to find it. And with that, I will say that after reading Angela's book, and yes, I have read it, every page, and then some, you will find something in you that will relate to your own personal life. It might not be exactly her story, it will be your story. But you will find hope and faith and encouragement and love through that. And that is what Aloha is. And with that, I'd like to bring out my sister, Angela.
Wow. Isn't she just so beautiful? Humbling. Carolyn, what an honor. She's my sister from another mister. And yes, I have to tell you, this story about Carolyn, when she talks about my husband, Teeny Gray, he was in high school. He was a St. Louis graduate in high school in Honolulu, Hawaii, and our pageant director, Ray Avogano, was his English teacher. And after Carolyn won, he's also the director of Miss Hawaii, said, Carolyn, you gotta come speak to my kids, my high school students at St. Louis. So came and talked to his class, and my husband was like, we went to her house a couple of years ago and met her for the first time at her house, like she was saying. We had that heart-to-heart in her backyard. And he was like, I cannot believe I'm at Carolyn Sapp's house with her husband and her children and you, and you're a former Miss America, and she's a former Miss America. This is so surreal. Did you know that she came and talked to me when we were in high school? Like, she was a guest speaker and I was starstruck. I'm like, Miss America is speaking to us. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And so he was really starstruck, not just by your beauty on the outside, as you obviously are, but on the inside, Carolyn. So thank you so much. I also have to say, I talked about it in the book, but I watched Carolyn win. We didn't watch Miss America growing up. When I was a little girl growing up in Hawaii, I'm one of 10 kids. I'm the 8th born of 10 children. And I didn't ever think I could be Miss America. But we watched the pageant religiously, as much as possible every year. My mom remembered to turn it on amidst the craziness with 12 people in the house. We turned on the TV. Well, in 1991, we had a Miss Hawaii who got all the way to top 10, to top 5, and it was the final moments of the pageant. I just remember Mama calling all of us, like, what is going on? So everybody ran out to the front, and we're turning on, and she puts it on full blast. Miss Hawaii is in the top 3. Hi, look at this, look at this. So we're all like gathered around, standing up for the television, watching the winning moment. Carolyn, I don't think I've ever explained this to you, but I remember watching you standing up there. I'm like, that's Miss Hawaii. She is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, she could totally win the whole thing. So they're calling fourth runner-up, third runner-up, second runner-up. She's still standing, and we're all holding hands. We're like, oh my gosh, Hawaii, because we didn't know you personally, but you represented us as Miss Hawaii, and we're like, she might just win this whole thing, which was unprecedented. We had our first Miss Hawaii that competed in 1940, but nobody ever got that far. And so here she is, standing up there, and they're calling second runner-up, they're calling first runner-up, and she's still there. And finally they said, your new Miss America is Carolyn Suzanne Sapp. And we were just screaming, and we went nuts in our house. And I remember watching that moment thinking, holy smokes, somebody from Hawaii, even if we don't know her, actually won. She won, and she put Hawaii on the map. And I remember back in 1991, I was only in high school at the time, and I thought, that's amazing. She's beautiful, she's talented, she's intelligent, and somebody actually put Hawaii on the map. Well, it wasn't until I was 18 years old, fast forward, that I competed in my own pageant when I was 18. Never competed in pageants at all. Miss America, like Carolyn said, is the largest scholarship provider for young women in the world. Miss America gives away over $45 million in scholarships every single year. And in the 3 years that I competed, just like Carolyn, the first 2 years, I tried, I didn't win. I went to top 10, and I made, I got to actually compete against somebody really cool. Her name was Brooke Lee. Brooke Lee went on to become Miss Universe in 1998. But she was 24 years old at the time, and I was 18. And I remember seeing her. She says, you know what? I want to win Miss Hawaii so bad. She's like, Miss Hawaii is the premier pageant. If you want to win a pageant, it's got to be Miss Hawaii. And so she ran for 4 years, and she's like, I'm 24 years old. And she was, I think, fourth runner-up that year. So she said, well, look, I aged out. I'm just going to go ahead and run for Miss Hawaii USA. And she won. And then Brooke went on to become Miss USA and the first Native Hawaiian Miss Universe in the history of the Miss Universe pageant, which is a whole other system, by the way. But still, she was somebody that I competed with. Now, Miss America, Carolyn Sapp, and Miss Universe, Brooke Lee, women that I looked up to and emulated, put Hawaii on the map, and I thought, if they can do it, so can I. So before I ever met Carolyn, I just remember watching her from afar and admiring her, thinking, gosh, she's so beautiful. I would love to meet her one day. I doubt I could ever do that, let alone meet her and become friends with her. I just wanted to meet you. In 1996, I ran for Miss Hawaii the second time. It was Miss Alan Lee Lima, and I remember seeing her there. I heard that she was going to MC the pageant in Miss Hawaii. Miss America is coming back to host the pageant. And I thought, this is amazing. So I got to meet her, and I remember having my sash that said Miss Island Lima 1996, and I'm like, I'm taking pictures with a Miss America. This is huge. And I still have that picture. I look at it sometimes, and I just think how surreal and how wonderful it is to become part of the sisterhood where not even 100 people, less than 100 women in the history of the world have been able to hold this title. And Miss America has been around since 1921. It started on the shores of Atlantic City in New Jersey. And to know that in the 1948 Miss America contract, it actually said that, among many of the things, one of the rules said that contestants must not only be in good health and in good shape, but Miss America contestants must be of the white race. And that was in 1948. It is a huge honor to be here standing before you, not only as the first teacher to become Miss America, but also to be the first Asian Miss America. People say, like, wow, Asian? It's funny because people say, well, you're Asian? Well, I thought you were Filipino. And I'm like, I am. But the thing is, there are black Miss Americas and there are white Miss Americas, and then there was an Asian Miss America in 2000 when I won. Last year, Nina Davaluri has become the second Asian Miss America, but also the first Indian American to win the title. So we now have two of us in our sisterhood, and it's a wonderful honor to have her as well. I cannot go on without thanking all of you for being here on a Sunday afternoon. I personally want to thank every single one of you for taking the time out of this weekend to be here with me and to share this special moment of my book launch here in Cerritos. I know so many familiar faces here, but I have to thank first and foremost the Mayor of Cerritos and the City of Cerritos. Please, nice round of applause for the Honorable Mark. This is my first time in Cerritos Library, and it's such an honor to be in this world-renowned Cerritos Library, and it's gorgeous, and here in the Sky Library, it's an honor. I also want to thank several people who made this possible. Mr. Ted Benito, as you saw here. Ted Benito, he now works with Apple Diap of the Black Eyed Peas, and he is all over the place around the world. He is so multi-talented. When Ted asks me to do something, I jump, because he's just like that kind of person. If Ted asks you, you just do it. And so I didn't even really ask him to do all that he's done, he just does. And we talk about service. Service is part of one of the 4 points of the Miss America crown. And it's service, style, success, and scholarship. He definitely has all of those things, especially service. So thank you, Ted. I love you. My good friend Tuli and his family, Male, and the Tuli family, thank you so much for being here. I also want to shout out to my wonderful editor, Abella Carroll, and her husband Bill, who worked countless hours on the book. And I'm so brought to tears when I saw this very special young lady walk in. Can I have my little baby sister Gloria stand up, please? Come here real quick. This is Gloria. She's number 10 of the 10 children in our family. Gloria, waiting for her for all here. Gloria and I are sisters in more ways than one. I mean, we are biological sisters, but we are such kindred spirits. And yesterday we celebrated our brother's 36th birthday, Albert. We talk about it in the book, and I say we because Gloria, although I had my editor, Abella, who's my official editor, Gloria came in and answered the call when I asked, can any of the family read this book and help me because I know it's very close to my heart. But I want to make sure that it's accurate. I want to make sure that it makes everybody in the family proud, because this is a book that is inspirational. And she answered the call. And as a professional editor as well in her own right, she took the book and she put her take on it. She gave me her insight, and I am just so beyond thankful to have you in my life as my sister, but also to help me on this book. This is truly our story. And yesterday, we celebrated my brother Albert, my late brother Albert's birthday. He would have been 36 years old. And in the book you'll read about him, but he died when he was 28 years old. So this is a very special weekend. November is always very bittersweet for me and our family, as we have so much to be thankful for, especially with Thanksgiving coming up. But we mourn the loss of our brother. He will always be remembered in our hearts. I also want to give a shout out to my entire Lalongi and Gray family. They are here right now. Thank you so much for being here. My Baraquio family, we couldn't be here in Hawaii right now. But this is a very special day for me. Before we go on, I just want to do a couple of excerpts from the book. I do want to say thank you to all the press that are here today. I got to be interviewed all week from a lot of national and international media. And so I just want to thank everybody for covering this book and making this a big deal, because it truly is a big deal to share this with the world. And it's not just my story, it's many people's stories in this book. I'd like to read a few excerpts, 2 excerpts. One is from chapter 13. Here's my book, Amazing Win, Amazing Loss, Miss America Living Happily Even After. And I do talk about the win, which was an amazing win. And I think we all go through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in all of our lives. Not everybody has had to go through it in the public eye. But that's something that I think God has called me to do, and I hope to be able to do that and share it with others in hopes of inspiring others, but also, thank you. But also, if it saves lives, as I've already heard that it has for some individuals, I'm very grateful for that. This is from chapter 13 called A Mother's Heart. There's something special about the bond between a mother and daughter. My relationship with Mama may have been complicated through the years, but the love was always there. When I was a child, I saw Mama as a strict disciplinarian. Now as a wife and mother, I see how everything Mama did for our family always came from a good place, even if it wasn't always evident growing up. In the Philippines, Mama witnessed atrocities children should never have to see. As a little girl, she lived through the height of World War II. I still get chills at the story she shares with us when she relives the moment she and her siblings were running away from the Japanese soldiers that had occupied Manila. The soldiers marched with guns in their hands, and my mother recalls running for her life with her siblings and her mom, my grandma Teresita. They were exposed to the smell of death and dodged shrapnel while stepping over corpses. Like a scene straight out of the Joy Luck Club, the 1993 film depicting life histories of 4 Asian women and their daughters, Mama talks about being 5 years old around 1944. All their food was confiscated by soldiers, and she and her family were driven out of their home, forced to find a new place to live. The family would run wherever people told them to go. Meanwhile, Japanese and American planes were dropping bombs above, and she vividly remembers the sound of aerial dogfights. Run, 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 the bomb, which means lie in your belly. When the bombing subsided, they'd stand up and run again. Later during the day, they were told to go to Concordia College campus in Haran, where they could find safety there. So they ran. They stood by the walls of the campus. Grandma shushed all the children in hopes that their hiding place would not be discovered by the soldiers. People brought any furniture they could carry from their homes to sit on. They all prayed silently. My mom was on her belly, hiding under a table. A bomb fell near her and all the shrapnel went flying. Just then, Mama's older sister Charito, age 7, told Grandma, "I'm not feeling well, Mama. I'm thirsty." She sat on Grandma's lap and Grandma gave her a drink from the war canteen she had. And at that moment, a piece of shrapnel from the nearby bomb that had just exploded hit my aunt, Tita Charito. Because she was drinking water, the shrapnel hit the canteen before reaching her heart. There was no blood. Seconds earlier or later, it would have hit my grandma, but instead the shrapnel hit young Charito, and she died instantly in my grandma's arms. My mama was a wide-eyed witness to this devastating event, while my grandma, upon realizing that her child was gone, began to hysterically wail in anguish. My daughter, my daughter, my daughter is dead! And yet, she and her kids had to keep moving to get onto safety. Like faithful ducklings following their mother, the children all ran after Grandma, but my mom fell down along the way. My mother heard more bombs dropping all around her and thought she had been hit. Mama's sister, Tita Rebbe, told my mom, "Get up, follow me." When she saw my mom on the ground, she screamed to Grandma, "Mama, Letty's hurt! Letty, stand up!" Thinking my mom was dead, Grandma said coldly, "Leave her, let's go!" Frantically yelling to her kids to run for their lives as she was already carrying one daughter's corpse in her arms. Grandma must have felt helpless and in shock, but her instinct was to save herself so she could get her kids out of harm's way. My mom heard all this, including Grandma's words, but she herself thought she was halfway dead. As she learned from the nuns that taught her in school, should she recite the act of contrition at the hour of death, she would be forgiven of all her earthly sins and go to heaven. So she began to do this, thinking these were her final moments. She covered her face and waited to be taken to heaven. Just then, she stood up. She felt her arms and legs and realized she was untouched by the shrapnel. She ran after her siblings and mother, yelling, "Mama, Mama, I'm alive!" My other aunt, Tita Kelly, was hit with a piece of shrapnel, so she was bleeding. Grandma found a place to bury her daughter, Charito, while everyone witnessed crying. The children were so young, all under 12 years old. When I look back at those times when Mama tells us these stories, it's hard to believe the strength of a mother. You know, my grandma's love for her and her children, my mother's love for us, that she had 10 of us. And I always have to just give her credit. We weren't always close growing up, but she's very much a part of me and she will always be a part of me. The next segment I'd like to read from is my message to the world, from page 232. My second grade teacher told me so many years ago that my name, Angela, means messenger. While my public speeches have emphasized different things like character education, forgiveness, reconciliation, and the importance of life, my overall message is to live with faith, hope, and love. Becoming a teacher, then Miss Hawaii, and then Miss America has helped me share my messages with the world. God is love. He is merciful and constant, and He loves us unconditionally. Even when we walk away, He never leaves our side. Today I'm in a better place from where I was on September 22nd, 2001, just 11 days after 9/11, when I was the current Miss America. I've done the work I needed to do on myself, and the difficult process of soul searching and finding meaning in life has been healing. No matter what you're going through, you never have to go through it alone. The sun will rise again. The road of life has taken me on many twists and turns. It took some time for me to see why I was born into this world, and with each day my purpose gets clearer. My family and I have been through much together, and we're better off because of our struggles. I've learned to live in the moment, see people for the miracles that they are, love my neighbor, and help others in need, especially through prayer. I'm grateful to know there's hope for a brighter day, and that there's always tomorrow to begin anew. The sun will rise again. In the Bible, Martha, the sister of Lazarus, believed the resurrection was an event. Jesus showed her and us that the resurrection is a person. He proved that knowledge of eternal life is a personal relationship, and victory over death is not a future expectation, but a present reality. Because of this truth, I know I will see my brother Albert again in heaven someday. With prayers, we continuously remember him and lead him to the light. I believe he's now an angel looking down upon us, guiding us through the rest of our lives. Moving forward, today I'm proud to say that I've returned to my roots as an elementary school teacher and administrator, while still traveling as a national speaker, TV host, and now an author. I'm also a first-year vice principal and junior high language arts teacher at a Catholic school in Southern California. It was always a dream of mine to teach at a Catholic institution and have my children attend the same school, and now that dream is a reality. Even in fairy tales, the plot sometimes twists unexpectedly, but I'm living proof that you still can end up living happily, even after great success or tragedy and loss. After demons have threatened to take your spirit. I've had wonderful parents, siblings, friends, and my own family by my side at every turn, with a strong faith that brought me back from the depths of my despair. I'm indebted to all those who have helped me along the way, and I'm indebted to every single one of you for being here today. Thank you very much. I know we're going to continue on with the festivities of today. I just wanted to share a quick story. My friend Annette is here. Annette, hi, how are you? This is Annette Ada. She traveled with me to Atlantic City a few months ago to Miss America, and the last time I was there at the pageant in Atlantic City was in 9/11. And it was really interesting because when I was at the Miss America suite with all the judges, one of the head hosts of the suite said to me, Angela, I've always been wondering, I always wanted to ask you, what was it like being Miss America during 9/11? And so I went on to tell him what a tragic time it was and how hard it was to be representing a country that was under attack at that time. And he says, no, that's not what I mean. What did it feel like, he said, what did it feel like when you were crowning Katie Harmon that moment, when you were on stage knowing that there were snipers pointing at you on stage? This was 2 months ago. And this is 2014. I looked at him and I said, what do you mean? There were snipers pointing at me on stage. And then the head of security walked over and he says, Angela, you didn't know? Of course you didn't know. Why would we tell you? Well, I was the head of security, and he says that was probably the safest building in the country that day. He says because the Grammys were supposed to go on, the Oscars were supposed to go on, the Emmys were supposed to go on, but Miss America was the only show, the national show that went on. And it was because the contestants had voted for it to go on. And so they wanted to look at me as a leader, and they said, Angie, we need you to be there in Atlantic City. So I flew there, even as scared as I was, 3 days after all the planes were grounded, got on a plane. It was the quietest plane ride I'd ever been on. And as soon as we landed in Philadelphia, I just heard everybody just clapping. As soon as we landed, because we got there safely. After traveling 20,000 miles a month on a national speaking tour during my year, on September 11th, 2001, just 11 days before passing on the title, we got attacked by terrorists. And one thing I talk about in the book is that before my year, after I was crowned, I went to Mass right away, and I asked for the protection of all the angels and all the saints. And when I saw that this is what happened at the tail end of my year, and I wondered why me at this time, and also why was I spared? It was very surreal to me. And we get there in Atlantic City, we're talking to the security guard, and he said we had security, we had Coast Guard all around Atlantic Coast. We had FBI, we had bomb-sniffing dogs, and there were 2 snipers that were on you, because if anything had happened, you would have been the first target, and the girl you crowned would have been the second. I said, wow. And so again, I had to look back and just thank God for protecting me after all these years. Even 13 years later, never even knowing the danger that I put my life in at that point. But that was just a story I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to thank Annette for being here. I'm not sure if my husband's here yet. You may know my husband, Teeny Gray. You might have seen him on season 7 of The Voice. In the next few moments to play some music for you. Very proud of him. Teeny and I have known each other since we were 15 years old. He was an altar boy at our church in St. Augustine's in Waikiki. We've been married for 12 years now, and we have 4 beautiful children. 2 of mine are here today, Isaiah and Micah, and we have Jonah and Kayla that are back home. But I have 4 beautiful children with him, and it really is a testament of our love for each other and our faith in God that we have such a wonderful family. So once again, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to meeting you all one-on-one. God bless and aloha.
I wanted to ask Julie to lead us in prayer. I don't think we pray enough as a community or as a family, so I wanted to invite Julie to kind of lead us in prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, Julie Batuli.
Congratulations to Angela. You know, when you base your vision on your values, good things come. There she is. Let's bow our heads. Father, we thank you, Lord, for Thank you for this glorious day. Thank you for our fellowship and our time together. Father, we pray a blessing on Angela and the book that she's written, Father, that it becomes an inspiration, that it empowers people around the world, that you will open the doors, Father, for those that need to read the book and those and places where she needs to speak. Father, we pray for open doors, that the book, and she will be able to touch the lives of so many people. We pray for Cerritos, we pray for Mark and his family and this city, Father, opening the doors for us to be here today. We love you, Lord. We thank you for all the blessings, for all of us, everything that we're going to partake today. We love you in the name of your precious Son, Jesus, and the power of your Holy Spirit. And all God's people said, Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, we're going to go ahead with the formal questions from the press for Angie. So I wanted to open up to the press people first. Do you have any questions? Tita Lydia.
My question, I guess, was answered. You mentioned about your brother's suicide, and you mentioned about other horrors. And that was my question. What were those other horrors? And I guess you answered it, and it was about 911. But if they knew that there were snipers pointing at you, what did they do? When they knew that, they just allowed it and just waited?
Well, we had security. They said that that was probably the safest building in the country that night. So they did have a lot of security, knowing full well that we may possibly be a target that night.
That was really very courageous of you, but did it give you some kind of horrible feeling?
It did. When I found out about that from the security, we were sitting there talking to security, and I had chicken skin, and I thought, had I known, I don't know if I would have been there. But again, I feel like the protection was surrounding me for many, many years, and having gone to Mass on a daily basis, or especially during my year, I made it a point to go to Mass every Sunday, because I thought, I'm traveling 20,000 miles a month, but I need to. And the first thing the manager said to me when I went, I said, I need to go to Mass every Sunday. And they said, well, you're going to miss out on a lot of money in appearances. And I said, I don't care. This is for my own spiritual, I need it for my sanity and my spirituality and my path. And they said, well, you know what, you're Miss America, you can do whatever you want. And I thought, I am one of 10 kids. I can assure you I've never heard that before. So I felt like I was very much protected and blessed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Hi, so I'm Miss Constantine from Income Journal. I just wanted to know why you decided to publish the book now, like 13 years after we got here.
Thank you. That's a great question. She said, why did I decide to publish the book now, 13 years after? Well, initially, when I was Miss America in 2000, I had coworkers, because I was the first teacher to win. My 8th grade students actually convinced me to run. So I did it on a dare my 3rd time. And like I said, I competed twice before, and as I was telling them in my story, oh yeah, I competed before. And they said, well, can't you do it again? And so I ended up doing it on a dare. And so I was asked by my coworkers and teachers after my year, could you please write a book on your memoir? Because I'm a teacher and I don't know what it's like to be a teacher in Miss America. Let me know what you did. And then I had Filipinas and Asians say, can you write a memoir saying, I just want to know what it's like to be Asian in Miss America. What was that experience like? So at 25 years old, after I gave up my title after 9/11, first of all, I kind of fell into a depression and had a lot of anxiety after that. And I mentioned it in the book. It went through a very rough time because I think we all did as a country, as a nation. We all felt that our life as we knew it changed forever. I mean, when I won, my whole school came. We had the cheerleaders and we had the band there. And then TSA happened. Our whole life changed forever. Now we take off our shoes. That's a normalcy now. We never had to do that. We had people coming to the gates to see us off. That doesn't happen anymore. So I was asked to write a memoir in 2001, and I thought, I'm 25 years old. I'm not going to write a memoir when I'm 25 years old. At this point in my life, I was actually asked to speak in September in Des Moines, Iowa, at the Christ Our Life Catholic Regional Conference in front of 7,500 people. And so they had booked me a year and a half in advance. And they said, please, Angela, we want you to share the story about your brother. And when you come, bring your book. And I thought, oh, geez, I don't have a book. But I had been working on it, and I had been compiling things from my journals, from my proposals that I'd been putting out to publishers. It had been a process for years. And finally, when she said, bring your book, I said, I just need to put myself on a deadline. And this is what I know from being in Miss America. You put yourself on a deadline, and a goal is nothing. I mean, a dream is nothing but a deadline, and a plan. That's really what dreams are, and that's how dreams can come true. You set a timeline, you put a plan to it, and you can get there. And so what I did was I said, in a year from now, by September 2014, I don't care what happens, I'm releasing a book and I'm publishing it. I'm going to finally share my story. But I had to do a lot of soul searching along the way. So like I said, the process was cathartic. It was very healing, but it was also very difficult. You know, I laughed at the computer and I cried and I had all the emotions as I'm typing it. And I just realized, you know, if I don't write the story, it'll never be told. And why have somebody else write the story when I can write it myself? And so that's how it happened. And that's why it took that long. Thank you. Question?
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
For being here and doing the book. I know I came in, probably I didn't hear the first part of your speech, but at any rate, what have you done in addition to the books, of course, that you have done now and all the things that you, what have you done also in the past and what you intend to do being now, I believe you'll be a role model for, you know, female arms, especially, you know, even though, you know, you're not really 100%, you know, Filipino, I guess, but, you know, partially, but I know.
My mom's from
sorry,
my dad's from Pangasinan.
but still, you know, what are the other things that you intend to do in these coming years?
Thank you for asking that. You know, one of the things I write in my book is called Happily Even After, because I talk about the amazing women being Miss America, but there is life after the crown. So a lot of Miss Hawaii's and other state title holders will read the book saying, well, what happens afterwards? Okay, you look forward to it, you win the crown, and then what? Is my life over? Absolutely not. I'm very fulfilled in my marriage, with my children. I'm also, like I said, I was the first teacher, but my life has come full circle. And like I said, this is my 6th year teaching. It's my first year as an administrator. I'm a vice principal at a school, so I'm teaching children every day. I'm interfacing with them and being a role model to them on an everyday basis. I think I have a student here. Do I have a student here? One of my students, Mark, can you stand up? I have my young third grader. Hey, you're a cow. I promise you I'll give you a shout out, right? I have some students here representing, and how old were you when I won, Julio?
Oh, it was 2 days old.
You were 2 days old. I agree. So it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a 6th grader and a 7th grader here, and some of my parents from the school. Thank you for being here. But you know, I think it's really important that we continue to be role models, whether we're Miss America, a teacher, or you're a parent, or you're a community member. One of the things I talked about was character education, and we have to. The best thing we can do for our kids, because they're being bombarded with so many negative images on a daily basis, we need to teach them what's right and what's wrong. We need to have them learn about what discernment is, and the first way they can do that is by being a good example for them. And so, as a teacher and administrator, that's what I do on a daily basis. But again, I earned over $100,000 from Miss America to be able to get those degrees, so I'm very grateful for the program.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Yes.
Hi.
What is the takeaway message that you hope for your audience to receive from reading your book?
The takeaway message that I hope my audience receives from the book, several things. The thread amidst the whole story is basically faith, family, and friends. At the end of the day, when we grow older and we're about to meet our maker and we're about to finish our lives here on earth, what really matters? Faith, family, and friends. And so the only reason I'm standing here before you is because of my faith, family, and friends. There are so many reasons why I shouldn't be here, and yet I am here. And so to go back to being very thankful that I've been given that gift of faith, growing up being instilled in me from a very young time, from childhood. My parents instilled that in me, and so I thank my parents, and I thank my husband's family and parents and their siblings for helping to me cultivate that faith on a daily basis. But those are the things. And also, when you are feeling depressed, or you're feeling sad, or you're feeling hopeless in this world, that there is always tomorrow. The sun will always shine tomorrow, and we don't have to be caught up in this world of darkness. We need to be that light. And like Gandhi says, we need to be the change that we wish to see in the world.
I come from San Francisco, and I relate to a lot of what you represent and what your story is about, and I really commend you for putting this out. I think it takes a lot of courage, and being a representation of strength and courage, do you have any efforts or anything that you do on a more grassroots level for women who are still in the Philippines, and some of them, maybe they're working outside the Philippines, that are suffering in terms of lack of power, in terms of what society defines women to be, and you're the opposite of that, and you're the new age woman that's like rock and roll. So is there anything that you're doing that will touch them and make their lives a little better?
Well, thank you for that, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book. And I hope to be able to interface more with Filipino women like that to empower them. But because I'm only one person and I am currently in an administrative position and I'm following my own dreams of what I've always wanted wanted to do. Like I said in my book, I never dreamed of being Miss America growing up. I dreamt of being a teacher. And so I'm doing that today. People can define your success and say, why are you a teacher? I don't get it. I spoke before 7,500 in Iowa, and they're like, I don't get it. Why are you a teacher? You're supposed to be Miss America. And I'm like, well, I was a teacher before I won Miss America, and I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. So we have to define our own success. And because I'm only one person, one of the reasons why I wanted to have a book out was because now it can go global. And hopefully my message will reach wherever it needs to reach, like Tui was saying. Hopefully this message will permeate to the farthest reaches of the world, and people who need to read it will read it. And so at some point I would love to go back to the Philippines. I got to go and visit Malacanang Palace when I first won. I met the president, Gloria Arroyo, when she was the current president. I met her 3 different times, and then I met President Bush when he was the current president 3 different times as well. Got to go to the White House, and having those experiences, it really is inspiring for young Filipino women. Just because I won Miss America, that in and of itself, people are like, wow, you can do it, I can do it. But that's not where the story ends. The story ends when you make your own story, and you become your best self, and you go out and do, be that difference in the world because you were here. Thanks.
Yeah, Angela. What about your stand on Roe versus Wade? I believe you are pro-choice.
Not
pro-choice. Have you been doing lately anything to promote your stand?
Thank you. So he asked about my stance on life, and people will, it's kind of controversial. I've heard from people, I have friends in Hollywood who say, you're pro-life? That's like career suicide in Hollywood. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm pro-life. What's the opposite of it? Pro-death? Of course I'm for life. I'm one of 10 children. I have 4 children of my own. I experienced 2 miscarriages, and I lost a brother to suicide. Of course I am pro-life. Life is life at any stage, and I value it at all stages, from the conception, natural conception,
I actually have a question. Hold on, Martin, I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know if people know this, but Angela bought the crown. I've never seen a Miss America crown.
But you will wear it today, Ted.
Well, what I want to know is, that means so much more than the title to you.
It does.
So just briefly,
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. To me, the Miss America crown is here, and I bring it to my appearances because it does represent a microphone. You know, I've always had a voice. Every single one of us sitting here has a voice. But it wasn't until I became Miss Leeward and got that preliminary title, became Miss Hawaii, and then became Miss America, that all of a sudden people wanted to hear what that voice had to say. And that's why it's very important, just like Mayor Pulido, being in a leadership position, to be able to have that courage to stand up for what you believe and follow through with what you believe. And so I think it does take a lot of courage to do that. And so this trophy, they call it a trophy because I'm an athlete as well. I played basketball, volleyball, and ran cross country in high school. It's my trophy. And I look at it, and it's like anything else. With any other ribbon that I've won, I kind of look at it and I say, dang, I did it. I put a goal out there and I achieved it. And if I can do it, trust me, you can do it. And not you males winning Miss America. I'm saying you can do anything you put your mind to, right, Julio? Because Julio said, hey, is there a Mr. America pageant? But really, it's been such a gift to me. And again, I'm a teacher with a microphone because of Miss America, and it's shed a spotlight not only on me, but what my beliefs are. And I feel very honored and blessed and humbled to have that opportunity.
Marlene, you had a question?
You don't realize it's your story, even though I'm from a different generation. During World War II, my sister-in-law's family was in a concentration camp. People struggle today to get money to go to school, no matter whether you're Asian, Caucasian, Black, Muslim, no matter what. And our family too. We lost him so of suicide. So I know what you're going through today. My son was 45.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing that, Marlene. Like I said, when I spoke in Iowa this past September, I sold my book. I launched it officially in Iowa. This is my first book launch in LA. But I stood up for 7 hours because people like you shared their personal stories with me. about losing loved ones to suicide. It affects people more than we know. Depression and anxiety is prevalent in our society, and it's the taboo topic that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it. We look at somebody like Robin Williams, who's the happiest person that you know, and then he loses his life to this disease. And what my message was to everybody in that audience, the 7,500 that came to hear me speak, I said to them, if you are in this audience and you are struggling with depression or anxiety, or you're thinking thoughts of harming yourself, maybe that's why I'm here. I'm here maybe just for you, for that one person, to let you know that God loves you and he holds you in his hands, and it's not worth it. It's the devil is telling you that, and it's not worth it. And I sat with people like you and I hugged them for 15 minutes at a time, and they walked through the line. I stood up for 7 hours hearing all these stories and taking it in, and hugging them and just showing them love and saying that I'm praying for you and I'm here for you, and we are a different breed because everybody loses loved ones. But not everybody loses loved ones in this way, and we pray that nobody else has to lose other loved ones this way. That's why I'm here, and that's why I wrote the book, and thank you for sharing your story.
Angela, I'm Nora Tobias Benson. I came to America, I was only 22 years old. I admire you for everything you have said. So continue what you're doing, because I have gone through thick and thin. I've been a retired nurse 7 years ago, so I did a lot of things here in America. Absolutely. 50 years of nursing.
Wow, 50 years of nursing. Thank you for your service. And Marlene, you mentioned about people struggling. It's not isolated to just Filipinos or Asians. Everybody goes through it, absolutely. We all, like I said, have the highest of highs and lows, and that's why this is a universal message that everybody can resonate with. One thing I want to, just say to my parents, they're not here right now. I know that they're in spirit. They're here in spirit. But my parents, Claudia and Rigolet Baraquio, were immigrants from the Philippines. They were credentialed teachers that came to America in search of a better life for our family in 1970. They were looking for the American dream. And so 30 years later, they see their daughter become the first Asian Miss America. And it's a really beautiful Cinderella story, but it also is something that's a testament to them because all 10 of us are college educated. And so we found ways, my parents put us all through private Catholic schools and through universities, so we're just very grateful that we're all college educated as well. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you all of you for being here. All right, well, he's here, my husband. Sneaking out. Where are you going, buddy? I know he was shy. My husband, T. Gray, is a musician, and he, like I said, he was a contestant on The Voice this year. I think he went out to get his guitar. How many of you would like to hear him play some music? So I'm excited to have him come on stage. He just literally came from another gig, so he's going to help me out today and entertain all of you. It's just another gig, Would you like to say a few words, Helen?
Yes. How about a round of applause for this lovely lady? I'm very proud, as a husband, Now, I've known Angie since we were 15, and I see what you see today from the moment I saw her. I knew that there was something special about this woman, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her and raise a family. And she's my best friend, and I'm so proud of her. I mean, she stayed up late nights writing this book. I mean, like typing away, like, whoa, smoke coming out of her fingers and her ears. I swear. So, all of these ideas came out, and the way, she just could not stop communicating her thoughts and her feelings about everything that she put on that book, especially about her brother and her family. And also like to, thank her sister, Gloria, and Bella, and everybody here who helped Angie in that time, because it was rough. It was rough. I mean, we had to, there was a lot of sacrifices on everybody's part to really make this book happen, and I'm very proud of Angie, so thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, everybody. Tim, would you like to say any final words?
No, we're going to set you up now.
Okay. So again, thank you so much for being here today, and I look forward to meeting every single one of you in person up front. Thank you.
back Teeny to play you a couple of songs. This guy's amazing.
Hey. We do have a Christmas show on December 20th I'd like to share with everybody. And it's a great family Christmas show. Angie's part of the great family, and she's doing some wonderful things to do this exciting concert with our family. So I hope you guys can make it. It's going to be in Santa Ana. And here's a song I'd like to share with you that a good friend of mine wrote. His name is Christian Yabilda. He's in Nashville. And I dedicate this one to Albert.
There's a place I see in dreams, it's where I'm headed for. Darling, tell me, will you be there waiting for me on the shore? I wandered out into the waves. Let you carry me away. Now I'm a single grain of sand, going back where I began. Can't believe it's been so long, just like I never left at home. Memories heavy one by one, troubles mounting to the sun. There's a place I see in dreams, it's where I'm headed for. Darling, tell me, will you waiting for me on the shore? Song is calling out to me. I was longing to be free. Today I've missed all of my friends. Let me be with them again. There's a place I see in dreams, it's where I'm headed for. Everyone I love will be there waiting for me. They'll be waiting for me on the shore. They'll be waiting for me. They'll be waiting for me. They'll be waiting for me on the shore. Yeah.
All right, in the spirit of the holidays, join on and sing this song if you know it. Thanks again for having me.